Alright, so how's it going, everyone? As promised, we're going to be reviewing Dr. Stone, Episode 1, Stone World. Yeah, a lot goes on in this episode, and without further ado, let's get right into it. So first things first, we got two main characters, which the episode seems to focus on. The guy with the crazy hair, Senku, is some sort of not evil scientist, but a scientist of sorts. He seems to have a lot of information that seems to come in handy, especially with the events to come. And Taiju, who seems to be kind of a lumbering giant, a guy who's very much strength, but doesn't really have any sort of planning or thinking skills or analytical skills whatsoever. So he's somewhat limited to just being a brute force working mule, whereas Senku is more of the thinking, logical, strategic sort of guy. So we start off with Taiju gonna ask a girl, or gonna tell a girl that he loves her. Can't remember her name at the moment. But just as he's about to do that, some sort of green flash engulfs the entire world. Everyone's freaking out, everyone turns into stone. And yeah, it's like that for 3,700 years. So, you know, the whole world is encapsulated by this mysterious cryptic green light. Everyone's turned into stone, including animals. Well, some of the animals were not turned into stone. I wonder why that was. I don't know if that's foreshadowing for the future or if that was just kind of a weird coincidence or a weird happening. But in any case, everyone's turned into stone. 3,700 years pass, and then we go back to Taiju, who happens to break out of his stone structure. We see that there's some sort of a liquid that's dripping on him, and it must have been dripping on him for quite some time. So he breaks out of his structure. He goes to see how his girlfriend, or the girl that he was going to confess his love to, is doing. Finds out she's still in a stone structure as with everyone else. But just as he's checking on her, he sees a note from Senku and realizes that when he meets up with Senku that he broke out of his structure around 6 months prior due to the same liquid dripping on him as well. The rest of the episode concludes with the two gathering resources, making shelter, building up a food supply for them to utilize together, and trying to find a way to dissolve the rock structure that encapsulated them for 3,700 years. And it looks like at the very end of the episode, Senku and Taiju go into a bat cave and find out that the liquid that corroded their hard exterior was bat guano, otherwise known as bat shit. So much of Senku's experiments revolve around him trying to use the bat shit to break the hard exterior that engulfed the entire Earth 3,700 years ago. It looks like he's unsuccessful at first, but through the addition of some alcohol, he's able to break the structure at the very end of the episode, and we see a bird flying off. So yeah, so now I guess we're probably going to go further into the cryptic part of the green light and why everyone was turned into stone, or maybe methodically kind of build up to that moment. But I would assume now they're going to probably start to release some of the people that are still in the structures and try to make a little bit of a civilization so that they can get to the point where maybe they could start unearthing some of the secrets about what happened in this episode. But in terms of the episode itself, I would say it's a decent start. Characters, Senku is kind of a bit edgy, a bit exaggerated, a little bit too overconfident, a bit too smart. I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't people like him that exist in the world, but his personality type leaves much to be desired. Not saying he's a terrible character, but I'd like to see a little more depth to him in the future, so we'll see how things go. Taiju, really not much better. I mean, he's just kind of a big oaf. He relies on his strength, kind of just follows commands on command, and yeah, that's about it with him. He's going to be a useful lackey for Senku to use in the future. In terms of the animation, I mean, it's fine. I would say it's slightly above average. It's not great, it's not fantastic. I was talking about my summer review of the shows, how the artwork looked really great. And I mean, I would say, at least in that regard, I mean, the character designs are very distinguished. They're unique. They don't feel plain or bland or like something else I've watched in the past or something else that exists. So I do appreciate that each character sort of has his own aesthetic, personality, and, you know, hopefully we'll get actual genuine personalities to go with those aesthetic nuances in the future. But yeah, so far, I mean, it's just one episode. You know, it's cryptic. It kind of has a dark aspect to it, a scientific slash cognitive aspect, and a lot of mystery. So I'd say so far it's okay. I don't know if it's good yet, but I think it does have potential. Still holding out hope for this show that something big could happen. I hope it's not some sort of plot-centric, mind-blowing experience, but doesn't really do much with the characters. But, who knows? We'll see. Anyway, I'm still engaged. I'm still excited for next week, so lots of things still got to be uncovered. Lots of things still need to be explained. And one more thing, I feel like even though it isn't isekai, it sort of still has that feeling. I mean, it's not another world, but it's their world with everyone stuck in stone structures. So in a way, it's sort of another world because a lot of the buildings and human structures are gone due to the forest sort of covering everything up. And it's not isekai. I mean, there's no special powers or anything like that. I mean, everything is more based in reality and science-based. So I appreciate that. I mean, I wouldn't want to see either of these characters, develop some sort of stupid power where they can sort of traverse the world very easily and destroy any foes that are in their way. No, I like the aspect that they're doing everything according to what normal humans would have to do. They're experimenting, they're testing, things are going along very slowly, so they have to sort of learn from their mistakes. So in that regard, I am enjoying it. So I don't know, I'm kind of mixed. There's a lot of stuff here, and I don't know if it's really good yet, but I feel like it does have potential. So I mean, maybe we leave this one in an oven for a couple episodes, and maybe it turns into some sort of spectacular souffle. I don't know what I'm talking about at this point, but I'm excited. So yeah, that's my recap, and see you on the flip side.